with America's Mayor live from Palm Beach, and live during a day in which we're still reverberating from the shock that just a mile from here, we basically had a military attack on Mar-a-Lago by the Federal Bureau of Investigation against a former president who has, in all his life, been convicted and arrested for no crimes, hadn't been convicted for any crime at that point, and there was no suggestion of any kind of violence in the dispute that they were having, which is governed by a statute that has no criminal penalties. We've gotten to the point where we've taken way too much. What the FBI did was absurd. It was illegal. It was immoral. It was fascist. It was inconsistent with anything you were taught as an American citizen. They were criminally out of control. And I know we always say, don't blame I blame every agent who participated in it. My boss told me to do it. My boss told me to do it. My boss told me to do it. Where the hell did we hear that before? I heard it myself last week. Conscience has to tell you to do it, damn it. You shouldn't be in law enforcement if you don't have a conscience. What do you mean use of force to execute a warrant over a stupid dispute over overly classified, if classified at all, documents that don't mean a damn thing to the future of our republic? The use of deadly force was authorized? Whoever authorized should immediately be taken out of wherever the hell they are. And I don't know if you can put them in jail right away, but I don't know, stick them in Biden's basement. Get them the hell away from the FBI. This is what American citizens have been putting up with for 3 or 4 or 5 years. And don't give me any more that, it's terrible comparing them to the Gestapo. It's like suggesting they participated in the Holocaust. Like hell, it's suggesting they participated in the Holocaust. I don't believe they participated in the Holocaust. I just think when I see them, they look like the Gestapo. I didn't say they were the Gestapo. I said they look like the Gestapo. They dress up for Gestapo effect, or the kind of effect that you would have with the frightening troops the communists would send out. The Chinese or the Russian. All these damn dictators do it. An armed force at Mar-a-Lago. They haven't gone over the line. Gosh, if you could vote right now, would you get this dictator out of office? All being done to cover up his real violations. Real violations that had jeopardy to the United States. President Trump was operating under a law that has no criminal penalties, and he had an initial right to have them. The Presidential Records Act. Biden had no such law protecting him. Biden was stealing the damn things back when he was in the Senate. And he was leaving them suspiciously in places very, very easy for the Chinese to get. He left them at an institute funded by the Chinese. He left them just out in his garage, where an employee and partner of the spy chief of China, who was getting $5 million a year, passed him every day. These are real violations. And I'm telling you, the reason they did this dramatized attack on Mar-a-Lago was to make it sound like it was a crime when it wasn't. Just like they dramatized January 6th into the point of frightening the living daylights out of the country and shaking the shit out of a lot of our conservative people who started talking about how terrible Trump was. So this is one that passed the line. They've all passed the line, but it's about time that we get them out of office. Yes.
Well, Mayor, we have a very special guest this evening. On the line, we have Caroline Leavitt, the National Press Secretary for the Donald J. Trump for President Campaign 2024. Caroline, of course, also from New Hampshire. We're very familiar with New Hampshire. And we wanted to have Caroline on, of course, to discuss a number of things, including tomorrow's big rally in your hometown. Caroline, you're on with the mayor. All right, we have Caroline. Can you?
Caroline, how are you?
Oh, Caroline, are you there? Yep. We're on with the mayor now.
Caroline, shall we ask you first about this report that the Department of Justice authorized the use of force to attack Mar-a-Lago? I mean, we've heard some crazy things, and we've heard some things that go beyond the line of fascism. But this is beyond anything. I'm afraid we're having some technical difficulties, as they say in this business. Actually, that was an appropriate response to what they did. It's hard to believe, actually. Some of these things are very, very hard to report. Having grown up in a free country, these are the things you read about happening in East Berlin and Soviet Union and the kind of trials they have. They really have to be thrown out of office. They've taken this country and they fundamentally changed it into a dictatorial country. We have a socialist, communist economy. We have large aspects of our law now that no longer bear any resemblance to a legal republic. Laws are just changed willy-nilly. Trump is being tried for a crime that is that's barred by the statute of limitations. It turns out during the...
All right, we're going to try to get Caroline back with us. Caroline, can you hear us? There's some issues here. Hey, Caroline, I'm going to call you back, okay?
So now the reality is that we've gone into a very, very serious period of critical core American values that hold America together as a country being destroyed. And it therefore imperils, and I don't know that we realize this, the future existence of our country. Please remember what America is. America is not a group of people from the same ethnic background or religion or race. We're a group of people that are joined together by a common set of beliefs. The common set of beliefs include the right of free speech, the right of freedom of religion, the right to a fair trial, the right to due process, the right to counsel. Every single one of those in the case of Trump supporters like me and many others in our category have had those rights trampled by a left-wing authoritarian government, which, if you wanted to call it communist or fascist, it certainly would fit a good deal of the way it acts. The use of deadly force against the prior president is one of those. This is the kind of thing that happens in totally corrupt countries. The new guy comes in power and he sends the military to the home of the old guy, and It was in power and tries to destroy him so he can't take power back again. Um, the reality is that in some ways this has gone further than what they do in those countries. It's gone further in the sense that he's reached down into as many of the associates of uh, of President Trump as he can get his hands on. I mean, he's not just content. He just wants to take out. He wants to take out, I guess, any possibility that this movement, which supports basic, fundamental, sound American values, continues, and that's why it is a movement. Um, we'll discuss as we're waiting for Caroline. We'll discuss the trial for a moment because it's now come to a close, and we're at the stage where the summations are going to be given. The case is, as Professor Dershowitz points out in his article in the New York Post today, the most unfair trial he has ever seen. Doesn't find any to compare to it, and finds the judge to be well. I think he would agree with me that the judge should be for our decade the prototype of the dishonest, corrupt, politically controlled judge. I mean, he would have fit very nicely into the show trials in the Soviet Union or the trials in Germany or maybe he has a future in Red China. But he sure as hell doesn't understand what it means to be a judge in the United States of America. Nor do the Democratic bosses in New York. And this should lead, but it most likely won't, to a serious investigation of the judiciary in New York and the connection between them and the Democrat Party and how every political decision goes their way, including the most recent extremely suspect change in the law on redistricting, in which they manipulated the Court of Appeals and appointees in order to get that result. That takes us from a country of laws to a country of men, and at that, crooked men.
Well, Mayor?
Yes.
Well, Mayor, after some technical difficulties on our end, and of course it happens on the call we have with Caroline at the top of the hour, but we have Caroline Levitt now on the line, and she's here to give us an update and to talk about the big rally tomorrow in New York City. Hello, Caroline.
Hey guys, great to be with you.
Well, it's very nice to talk to you, Caroline. Are you in my old city?
You know what, Mayor? This is the first week in 4 weeks. I am not in your old city. We've been cooped up there in the courtroom, as you know. I'm back in our other favorite place of New Hampshire for the week this week. But we have a huge event happening tomorrow in the Bronx that President Trump is really looking forward to. And then we'll be back. I'll be back in New York with him next week for closing arguments in this Biden trial.
You mean in the most unfair fascist trial of the century?
It is the most unfair. It's a communist show trial.
I'm happy to call it communist show trial. I'm not suggesting it's equivalent to the Holocaust. Not much different than the trials that Hitler put on either, and or any of these people, Xi Jinping, Mao Zedong. But in any event, I'm very hopeful that it will be at least a hung jury. There's so much evidence came in, honestly, to prove that he's innocent. I mean, the false statement is true. It was a legal expense. But Caroline, tell me about the rally tomorrow. This is really quite a coup for the president to go into the heart. I mean, the Bronx is the most Democrat of the counties, and but they have expressed for the last couple of months, they've been expressing a real desire to get him there. So it should be very interesting to see this.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. And we are expecting thousands to attend based on the tickets that we've seen on the back end, people signing up to come. And our team has now been on the ground there for a few days building out the park. It's going to be in Crotona Park. And our team's been working on putting the event together. And they've been reporting back to us from the ground saying that they're having locals come up to them every day, all day, saying they're going to be there and they're very excited President Trump is going to their neighborhood. And many of them have expressed outrage about Joe Biden's sanctuary or open border policies and the city of New York sanctuary city policies, which, as you know better than anyone, Mayor, is New York City hard. They're watching their city go to hell. They're watching them being put last ahead of illegal immigrants. And that's frustrating. It doesn't matter who you are, how much money you make, what you do for a living. You know, you want to feel like your president and your country puts you first. And that's not at all what's happening in Joe Biden's America, certainly not in New York City. People are fed up, and President Trump will bring them a little bit of hope and inspiration for a better future tomorrow night.
It's going to be quite exciting, and it exactly a place that needs that infusion. And it also, New York is a place that is particularly attacked and burdened by Biden's policy of open border. I mean, but that's a combination of him and the mayor announcing that New York would be the best city for them to come to, the best sanctuary city, more money. I mean, the mayor gives them credit cards. So it's a combination of the two of them, both of them very, very left-wing Democrats. Also, the attack on Mar-a-Lago. Has the president made any comments on that about the idea that military force was authorized? I can't get over that. Military force authorized against an ex-president of the United States. What?
Deadly force.
Deadly force.
President Trump put out a as soon as he learned about this yesterday. I mean, God bless this guy. He comes out of the communist show trial in the Manhattan criminal courtroom, and he's told by our team that Joe Biden wanted to use deadly force against him and his family at his home during that raid. I mean, you can't make this up. It is sickening and despicable. It's third world country banana republic tactics. We no longer live in a constitutional republic. If the sitting president is authorizing deadly force against his political opposition, it's unbelievable. It's frightening. And it just proves, Mayor, that it's not Donald Trump who's the threat to democracy. It's Joe Biden.
Oh, I don't think
the greatest threat to democracy.
I don't think there's any question about that. I think we're all aware now of his practice of aggressive projection, where the minute Biden accuses you of something, you know he did it. I mean, it's an amazing, it's a psychological illness, and he has it badly, and he uses it as politically. But Caroline, thank you very, very much for the great work you're doing for my friend and for the president that we need to have more than he needs to have us. I'll tell you that. Boy,
Amen.
do we need him in office.
Amen. We do, for our country and really for this world. And we appreciate you, Mayor. We love you. And I've had the great pleasure of sitting next to your son in court. He's been there as a good ally and friend to us, reporting the truth about what's taking place in this show trial. And we appreciate that very much too. So we will see you soon, Mayor. Do take care.
I know. He's not used to seeing trials like that. Well, thank you very much, Caroline.
Thank you, Caroline, and we'll have you on
God
again
bless.
soon. Don't
Boy,
be a stranger.
Caroline is unbelievable. She's been on consistently now since she ran in one capacity or another, and she's always just about the best one to come on to lay out the Trump policies, and that's why we wanted to get her, because doesn't she do it so concisely and so powerfully and so honestly? I mean, what a difference between her and Little Red Lying Hood and Peepsy, who comes out and lies every day. I don't know who lied most, Ted, Little Red Lying Hood or Peepsy.
That's a good one. What when you say Peepsy, are you referring to who I think you are?
Yeah, the one who looks like when she comes out, she puts her finger, she puts her finger into an electric socket.
Jen Psaki.
No, Jen Psaki is Little Red Riding Hood, and Peepsy, Peepsy's with a very impressive name, but extremely unimpressive intellect.
Wow. Yeah. Let's think about that. Comment below. Who is a bigger liar?
I think maybe the Admiral is.
Oh, Kirby. Yeah, and Kirby.
Because he knows what he's doing. The two of them may not know what they're doing, and he's quite a turncoat, being a liar like that. Quite a turncoat, I'll tell you. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to be right back with Biden's sellout. And if I put my name on something, I truly believe in it. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. Believe me when I say it's the best coffee you'll ever try. It's smooth, rich, chocolatey, and gentle on your stomach. It's so good, I even recommend drinking it black. It comes in 3 varieties, including what I promise is the best decaf you'll ever have. You can order now by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting rudy.coffee. By supporting Rudy Coffee, you're not just treating yourself to exceptional coffee, you're also supporting our cause, the cause of truth, justice, and American democracy. You'll also be supporting the Call to Action nonprofit, which is devoted to helping veterans and first responders. So you can make a difference and taste the difference by ordering today at rudy.coffee. Well, it's nice to be back with you. I have in the background there a little driving along. I have a little driving along Palm Beach. This would be the way you would approach Mar-a-Lago. We'll have to get it back on again. Somehow I put it off. But that would be the way you'd approach Mar-a-Lago if the FBI and you were coming with a group of...
There's a picture on the screen I have up.
Here's Mar-a-Lago. You can see it as a very, very fortified facility that would require large numbers of military arms. They even ordered extra arms in order to breach the walls, which are heavily guarded. You see the cannons? I see maybe 8, 10 cannons. I see military all over the place. My goodness, that really is a very, very frightening looking place. It would definitely require loads of machine guns to get in there. What the hell is wrong with the FBI? What the hell is wrong with them? I don't get it. I really don't get it. But so Biden is really on a roll. And if this continues, I'm not sure he's going to show up for the debates. First of all, with the little time that he has left in office, I guess he wants to sell out the United States completely. He's using up all of our strategic reserve because he won't drill in the United States because of his insane green policy, which no one understands but him and John Kerry. But John Kerry made money off it. He made money off Ukraine and Red China. So that reserve is there for an emergency. That reserve is there, for example, if China were to attack us or carry out a cyber attack and make it impossible for us to get power for a great deal of time. It's not there for getting him reelected so the price of gasoline stays down. In fact, God, it comes pretty close to being a crime to do that. And that's fraud, real fraud, where somebody is hurt. Biden is also refusing to turn over the Her video. Now, what's the Her video? The Her video is the video of the transcript that is out there already, which gives him, therefore, no immunity any longer. He can't claim immunity for this. this is the kind of thing where there was immunity, where Navarro's in jail and they want to put Bannon in jail. But God forbid, not Biden. I mean, they can't do it right now while he's president, but they could stir up a couple of months for him as soon as he comes out. And anyway, they'd have to put him in like a mental hospital anyway. You can't put him in the general population. The guy is non-compos menace. Brazzo. Between here and here. Zero. So he doesn't want you to see. He doesn't want you to see the way he testified that led her to the conclusion that he shouldn't be prosecuted. Now, how can they hold that back from the American people? And why isn't there a great demand to see it? Because the press is crooked. That's why. And he also has come up with, here's a really great idea. And this one, he actually thinks on this one, let's see if I can get my little thing out here. He actually thinks on this one he can fool us. But I did not go to an Ivy League school, which means I learned to add, subtract, multiply, and divide where you had to get the right answer. You see, they learn how to add, multiply, subtract, and divide, but they don't have to have the right answer because it could be too, right, Ted? It would be too stressful. Yeah. No. I mean, really, seriously, you don't want to put that kind of stress on. Ivy League people have enough to think about, like lying about Palestine and hating Jewish people, and joining anti-Semitic rallies and hate Jew rallies. I mean, they have too much to do. So he's going to do something really good. He's going to fix the border. Joe's going to fix the border that he screwed up after letting 10 million people in. I mean, who cares anymore? Venezuela, I don't think Venezuela has any more criminals to send you. Their crime is down to zero. The only crime they're committing now are political crimes. And they want to keep those people. Venezuela's got like an 80% reduction in crime because they're all here committing crimes. It's got no more mental institutions. They developed a cure for mental illness. Send them to Biden. And it ain't so far behind in the other Latin American countries. What did you think they were going to do if you let the border open, idiot, moron, traitor? But he's gonna stop them. I'm going to stop them. I'm going to let only 4,000 illegals in a day. That's right, only 4,000. What? You shouldn't let any in. I'm going to allow, imagine I was mayor, I would say, I'm going to allow 400 assaults a day, and then I will begin enforcing the law. Let's see. We'll begin enforcing the law against murder after 4 murders a week. What the hell is he talking about? And who came up with the idea that you get, 4,000 violations of the law before we do a damn thing? Anybody can have any kind of morale to enforce that. And by the way, I know he can't possibly do that, but that comes out to That comes out to 1,460,000 illegal aliens with the 4-question vetting process for the Chinese. This is. Do you know what Trump's last year was? Trump's last year. Just take that off and reduce this by about 30. It was about 430,000. And he was going down. He would institutionalize, right? He would institutionalize 2.5 times more illegal immigration than Trump had in his last year before they were able to get all their ducks in order. I don't know. I think this may be more immigration than any other American president, but the worst American president. I don't think that Obama or Bush had more than 1.4 million in a year. There might have been a 1.8 million year way back. There might have. But this is ridiculous. I hate to keep saying the word ridiculous. It's criminal to do this. It's a violation of your oath of office. You're supposed to enforce the laws. You don't enforce the laws, as I said, by saying you get to do 4,000 violations a day, and then we begin to enforce the law. What's them supposed to accomplish anyway? Why don't you just stop them all? That's what Trump was attempting to do, and he got the numbers down to numbers that are manageable already. And he did it without having to pass ridiculous laws, because in addition to this, you're going to want to give all kinds of money to all of these people so that they come here. Oh, plus, I didn't mention the fact that he's also going to have a CBD program, which will bring in another 300,000 to 400,000 illegals and really bad ones, because he doesn't vet them. And he takes all of these, from these left-wing universities and blah, 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 all the whack jobs. And it's not going to take care of the gotaways, which, he has had, the Border Patrol estimates, he's had 1.4 million gotaways in his 3.5 years in office. So that would mean in about 400,000 more of those. So that's another somewhere around 800,000. And then we got the really interesting group, the group you don't get to see, the group that the Mexican cartels brings over in those portions of the border that they have been able to reserve that are unpatrolled, unreachable. And of course, the more we stretch it out and the more bureaucracy we impose on them, like this would be a tremendous bureaucracy, the less we're going to have Border Patrol available for patrolling the more open and areas of the border. So they keep moving it around to new places so you don't develop patterns. And why do they do that? They do that because those are for the big, high value illegal aliens. And when I say high value here, I'm talking about the people who have developed the biggest sex trafficking, child trafficking network in the world now, in America. We lead the world in abuse of children. Isn't that nice, Joe? You did that for us. Before you were president, we didn't. Now we lead it in abuse of children. You never were very sensitive to abuse of children anyway, but I never thought you'd want to impose it on the whole world. And we set records under you for fentanyl. The deaths are ridiculous that now take place. Drug dose overdoses, a record under you. Of course, the massive illegal alien flood and invasion of the United States isn't even a record. It's beyond comprehension. No other American president approaches anything like it. And you know what you did, really, because it's much more fundamental than that. You destroyed the United States and what it stands for. You destroyed Abraham Lincoln's only real definition of what it means to be an American. So you really achieved exactly what George Soros wanted, and Klaus Schwab and your communist former boss. You've done a pretty good job of destroying American nationality. What creates America? Abraham Lincoln was once asked. Abraham Lincoln was once asked by, I believe he was asked by a person who had just become a citizen that he had sworn in, how could I ever be as good an American as someone who came over on the Mayflower? And Lincoln said, well, you can be a better American as someone came over on the Mayflower this very moment if you believe in America more. If you believe in the fundamental core rights that all Americans believe in, that all Americans understand, that all Americans practice. It isn't an awful lot of them, but you're going to find them pretty conveniently tucked away in the Bill of Rights. Oh, they don't believe in right to counsel. they're trying to put all of Trump's lawyers in jail, including me and Professor Eastman, which has had the impact of making it very difficult to find lawyers for him and others. They raided our offices going back to Cohen. You know how many offices of Trump lawyers they've raided? I never heard of that before. I didn't raid lawyers' offices, ever. I didn't think you were allowed to do it. I thought there was something like the Sixth Amendment that prohibited it. Their Fourth Amendment invasions of homes, which they weren't all with armed force, but a lot of them were. They didn't invade my office and apartment with armed force, but they did invade my law office. And I had other clients, and they weren't very happy about having their privacy. So I don't. This is going to be a big job bringing this back. Speaking of New Hampshire, too bad Caroline's not on. Trump leads by 0.1% right now in one poll, at least there, and it's a. And in the poll, RFK gets 14.6. And I was going to see if she could get a copy for us, because I really want to see who Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is taking votes from. Well, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to ask you to give us a call and. Ask us some questions about this, and I'm going to take you through another poll also. And 646-573-5177. We'll be right back.
We're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50%, and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
And we're back.
This is Rudy Giuliani back with America's Mayor Live. I pointed out to you that in New Hampshire, the president has a 0.1% lead, which of course is within the margin of error. But when you look at the internals of these polls, I must say Trump is looking very, very strong, and I don't like that. I mean, I don't like to say that because I'm suspicious. I mean, I'm not suspicious. Yes, I am. I am suspicious. I wouldn't have been a good prosecutor. I wasn't suspicious, right? But I am. I mean, I never know. Just like you and anyone else, I don't know what to think of a poll. Of course, over the years, I've become somewhat of an expert in reading them and finding things in them. Learned a lot about them through trial and error, and still, even with all of that. And then I do believe that the pollsters of today. Really are very, very crooked. I really think they are extraordinarily play to their clients and come up with funny polls, and they're easy to manipulate because all you do is do a dishonest prediction of who's going to turn out, and particularly in a very hotly divided country, that's going to make a very, very big difference. But here's the poll that I thought was very, very powerful because it's a sort of a little bit of a below the surface poll. And I don't think you're going to believe this poll. But it's ABC Ipsos. was taken over last weekend, and it shows that Trump is winning the under 30s vote by 5 points over Joe Biden. Aren't young people supposed to be voting for Biden? He leads by 5. He leads the young under 30 voter 48 to 43. Among men, he's got a 12-point lead. He's got a 12-point lead. Among women, he's only behind by 3. So all their work on going after Gen Z, looks like Gen Z can figure out a dodo when they got one. And now, for the piece de resistance, can we have his performance?
PAC Act into law. I handed the pen that I signed it with the tradition of the most responsible. After I signed the PAC Act into law, I handed the pen that I signed it with the tradition of the most responsible. Just as we have freed hostages already. And here today is Hirsch Goldberg Poland, and it's still, he is not here with us, but he's still being held by Hamas. My administration is working around the clock to free the remaining hostages, just as we have freed hostages already. And here today is Hirsch Goldberg Poland, and it's still, he is not here with us, but he's still being held by Hamas.
Wow, Mayor, that's really something.
Well, I think this is an extra horrible. These people have since October 7 not slept, wanting to get Hirsch Goldberg Poland back, and they don't know if he's alive or dead. And this jackass says he's in the audience. Now, obviously, he wasn't, but doesn't it show you he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about? That he's spending very, very little time on this? Just like he spent very little time on the people who he got killed in Afghanistan by looking at his watch, just like he couldn't figure out that the congresswoman that died, and he was looking for her in the audience. What do you need? What do we need to throw him out of office? This is a hostage. Look, he hasn't cared about the hostages one bit. The Americans or the Israelis. He doesn't give a damn if they die as long as he gets reelected. He just wants to make sure he doesn't offend the people in Michigan. He wants to make sure that the people in Dearborn, Michigan, he knows them a lot better than he knows Hirsch Goldberg Pollen, who he thought was in the audience, but the poor guy is being held in Gaza as a hostage, and who knows what they're doing to him, and who knows if he's still alive. But we do know that he doesn't give a damn. Let's go on. The others are equally indicative of a mind that's been lost, and a man who should be locked up, obviously for his crimes, but also for his lack of having a brain. Go ahead. Delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnels to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. I'm writing it up. Hi, this is Rudy Giuliani. I'm back with America's Mayor Live. And, you know, it is so dangerous. It is so dangerous to have an American president that's out of his mind. And he is clearly out of his mind. There's not even a doubt about it. The Democrats who make excuses for him sound like a bunch of total fools. Whatever you want. You actually pick the word. You can call him whatever you'd like to call him. Hersh Goldberg Pollen, Mr. President, was not in the audience. He was a hostage right now in Gaza, and largely he's a hostage because you're a miserable, stinking, dishonorable coward who doesn't know how to get them out. Nor do you want to get them out because you're afraid that you're going to lose votes in Michigan. You know, you started off giving away this country because you got paid for it. Now you're giving this country away because you want to get your sorry ass reelected as president. The worst thing that can happen to this country if you got reelected for president. I mean, you are selling out the entire country of Israel and our relationships in the Middle East for about 14 Islamic extremist votes in Michigan. Lucky you can't count. God almighty. I don't know if you remember me, but I've known you for 35 years, and we helped to draft the 1994 crime bill together. You remember I wrote it because you can't? I was nice to you, kind of, and I feel bad that I wasn't truthful with you because behind your back, I would tell people you were the dumbest person I had ever met. And then the funniest thing is behind your back, everybody agreed with me. You know, your good friend, John McCain, I said to John at one point, he wanted me to go into the Senate. And I said, I don't want to go in the Senate. It could be boring. You know, a lot of dumb people there. He said, oh, Mayor, they're not all dumb like Joe Biden. That was your pal, McCain, who knew you were dumb. I mean, I just worry about the 5 months I worry about the 5 months that we have left. Well, the butcher of Tehran is gone. There was a funeral for the butcher of Tehran. Well, there is going to be a funeral for him. I think they have a big, long, I guess it takes them a long time to count up the 79 virgins. And I'm still working on the arithmetic of that since, 50% men, 50% women. How can you have 72 virgins for every guy? But I have a feeling that Abraham Rahisi is not going to be getting 72 anything. I have a feeling I know where he is. And I think the New York Post announced it yesterday when it ended its editorial by saying, go straight to hell. Only God knows how many people you killed, but you killed just recently you killed about 120, 130,000 people because of the protests, because your country killed a young girl who had some hair showing. And then you got protests. And then back in 98, you may have slaughtered 1 million people. So Rahisi, you're dead now. They're going to put some other monster there for you because the Ayatollah is a monster. You were shocked, or you guys in Iran were shocked, that America actually sent you a condolence letter. Could this be the first time in the history of America that we sent a condolence letter for the death of a mass murderer? And could it be that only Biden would do that? And does he do it because he's insane, or does he do it because he's evil? How can you possibly send a condolence letter on the death of a man who has killed conservatively 1 million people? And I got to be a lot of Americans in that little group. His nickname is the we are. How did you? What did the letter say? We would like to offer condolences and feel very, very sorry about the loss of the Butcher of Tehran. Butcher was such a fine man. I mean, he really was quite efficient in his ability to kill Iranians that disagreed with him, which was the thing he was admired for the most. And he also was admired for torturing people and therefore being able to create terror so that they could all give up their rights and be dictated to by the Ayatollah. What a great career. And as an American president who wishes to be a dictator, I am a great admirer. Wow. So the New York Rangers are going to be playing tomorrow night, the first game of the second to last game before the Stanley Cup. Is this going to be like 1994 when the Rangers had not won the Stanley Cup for 54 years?
Who was the mayor in 1994?
Me. And the Yankees hadn't won. The Yankees hadn't won in like 16 years. Yeah. Well, the Yankees won 4 World Series, and we're in the playoffs every single year that I was mayor. I have 4 World Series rings, or Andrew has them. Gave them all to Andrew, because I would have lost them. I lose everything. So I gave them all to Andrew, because Andrew was with me at every game, and we cheered them in. And I did. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to check. I'm going to have to check with Andrew if I committed a crime the night that the Rangers won, because they took us on the ice and we got to drink. Well, they said it was wine, but it was really beer. We got to drink beer from the Stanley Cup, and I think Andrew had some beer, and he was only about 9, but he wanted to get on the ice and shoot some goals. He was a good goal. He was a good hockey player. And there we are back with the Rangers again. Best record. They won the President's Cup, the best record in hockey. They're going to play a very tough Panther team from Florida, right, Ted?
That's right. I almost
Where?
said football, but that's the Carolina Panthers
Where?
football team. The Florida Panthers, I think they're in Fort Lauderdale. Us Northern, we're from Michigan and New York, where we're original 6 teams, right? Detroit Red Wings, New York Rangers. We're down here, and you got the Florida Panthers. That's funny. And the games are fun. I hear. I do hear the Fort Lauderdale, the Florida Panther games. They sell out. They do well.
They're very good. They're
good.
They're supposed to play very, very similar to the Rangers. But the first two, I do believe that. The first 2 games are in New York. So
we might be up there. I've never been to the Garden.
Well, no, the first one's tomorrow night.
Oh, okay.
On Wednesday. We'll see about the second game.
Yeah, or if it goes with the,
but it sounds like
maybe we'll be back.
It sounds like the schedule is going to kind of screw us a little.
It does.
We're going to be up there when they're down here, and vice versa.
That's Florida Panthers. They're literally playing right down the street.
They do those Cougars and the Panthers. They love that. So
they probably cheat and melt the ice. I think they probably.
That's what Cougars do.
Cheat and melt
love
the ice.
That thing.
So we have some Florida residents and New Yorkers here.
We may put in a protest.
Some people call it residents. Other people call it professionals.
Hey, we have a lively audience, and we have some questions for you. Is now the time for Q&A with the mayor?
We'll take a few questions.
All right, we're gonna put we'll put our friend on the phone here, and you just go ahead and ask away. And it's a mic, not a phone. This is a live studio audience. We have our friend Matt. Matt, what's your question?
So it was actually, and you were my mayor, by the way. Okay, like from 1998 to 2005, and just moved down to Florida, where you found yourself a bunch, since then. But my whole question to you was the broken windows campaign was probably one of the best law enforcement campaigns, best law
I thought
enforcement
so.
philosophies that
Yeah, and
was
I
ever out there. And I've just never had a chance to actually look you face in the face and say, this is really ground roots, starting where it is, like broken windows, you know, graffiti on the walls, all of the little things going on and doing that. And so why? Well, number one, how did you come up with that? Which is brilliant.
I'll tell you,
Why is this not?
I sure
the way
take credit for implementing,
we're
not for
enforcing
developing it.
all over the country. So
Well, I mean, it should be enforced all over the country, but for some reason, for some reason it isn't. But it came from James Q. Wilson. James Q. Wilson was a criminologist, and without any question, probably the preeminent criminologist of the 20th century. And I got to know him because I was in charge of the Attorney General's Task Force on Violent Crime, and I helped appoint him as one of the chairmen. And we became very good friends.
you did take down Gotti, right?
Yeah. And he tried the broken windows theories in small towns like in Greensburg, North Carolina, and the idea of it is you got to pay attention to the small things that lead to the big crimes. You got to pay attention to the big crimes. You can't ignore them, but you got to devote a certain amount of attention to small thefts. This whole idea, like in that destroyed California, let everybody get away with $900 worth of theft. So somebody steals $10,000 in a day. 900, 900, 900, 900, 900, 900. They do this. I mean, and it becomes, or graffiti, which seems harmless. Graffiti is a great sort of, it's an indication that we're out of control, or that property rights don't matter. So you've got to put some attention to these things. And you got to show that people have to subject some of their desires to the rights of other people. The rights are not all about you. Other people have rights too. So you have rights and obligations as a citizen. And all the left wing pays attention to are your rights. And your rights run wild, and you get to trample over the rights of other people. So we put it in effect. We didn't know if it would work in a big city. And so my contribution really was making it work in a big city. And then Mike Bloomberg followed it, and we had 20 very good years. But then the socialist communist de Blasio took over, did away with it, thought it was too harsh on people. People should be able to put graffiti on your door. Because after all, it's really not your door. The state really owns everything. If you want it, yeah, you like, of course. I mean, there are things that are basic rights and boundaries that we have to make a civilized society. And the left wing has no idea what they are. And then they really also break it down because it's a way to lead us to communism. It's a way for our government to fall apart. And then we have to become part of the big one world government where America won't exist anymore.
Well, it was one of the greatest policies that was placed in a major urban society.
And
and it was because it also like brought people to people. I mean, like it was very much the first time it was like community policing. If you,
Yes.
I mean,
It
like,
was
it's
community
just,
policing,
like,
whereas community policing often means just playing ball with the kids, which is okay, which is fine. This community policing meant teaching the kids to respect the law. And that is very, very important. And and where they've tried it, and honestly tried it, it works. But as you can see in the left-wing cities, of which there are many now, run by Democrats with Soros DAs, they believe in you can do anything you want, anytime you want. And the criminals are in charge. So
Matt, you were in New York in the 90s?
Well, no. The time I was in New York in the 90s, I was actually in New York in the 80s, walking around
you were in
Times
New York when
Square.
it was bad.
Times Square is. Don't anyone get me in my age right now. Yeah, Rudy, no one it's your age either. but
the 80s were bad.
in the 80s, I remember people in Times Square coming up to me going, "Oh, baby, you're gonna have a party!"
Oh my goodness, yeah, people. Lots of
It
people.
was a nightmare, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I moved to Red Hook in Brooklyn, they actually some neighbors of mine, like they came to Red Hook. What are you moving there? And I moved right after the hurricane, so it was starting to come up. But they were like, Red Hook, that's where they went to bury the bodies. But
that is the Red Hook. Oh yes. Red Hook was the. I've shown you Red Hook. Red Hook is the. You know how there are grounds that are set aside for the Civil War, the Revolutionary War.
Beautiful.
This was the Colombo Gallo War.
Wow.
They killed about 67, 68 people in about a 4-year period to figure out who was going to control the family.
Well,
And eventually Joe Colombo really took control of that. But they killed over 60 or 70 people.
really?
I mean, every morning they'd get up and there'd be 4 bodies shot with machine guns and the same kind of ammunition they brought into Mar-a-Lago.
Well, into a lot of the places that we unfortunately have a lot of ammunition and guns brought into today. But yeah, Red Hook's interesting. Great thing about Red Hook, so everyone doesn't think it's like screwed up. If you go to Red Hook, it's actually the only place in New York City where the Statue of Liberty actually looks you in the face. Okay, so it's not a bad place.
And I've always
What a fun fact.
Not a bad place.
pointed out to
but-
Chris Christie that basically New Jersey gets to look at.
Well, as long as we don't, have to look at Chris Christie's asshole.
Well, thank you, Matt.
Matt, thank you very, very much. We
And
had a
Matt's
great
audience,
time
we have a
tonight.
lively audience.
So tomorrow, and or Friday, we're going to have like a special panel discussion, which we're putting it together to kind of sum up everything that's happened because so much has happened in the last couple of weeks. It's hard to keep track of it. You almost have to put it in some kind of order. And we've got to go forward from here, and we've got to win an election. It isn't a matter of winning an election; it's to win a country back. The country's been taken from us, and we have to win it back, and we will. And we will because we're going to stick together, and we're going to bring God back too. We talked a lot about freedom of speech last week because of my being thrown out of WABC for not agreeing to their policy of not discussing at all the 2020 election. But we the core right that really has been destroyed is freedom of religion. The communists made sure they threw God out of America. To take over America, you have to get rid of God. You've got to get rid of parents. You've got to get rid of free speech. You've got to get rid of due process. I would say they have made not just inroads. In many cases, they've done away with it. So we got a battle, but it's a battle that we're good at. We know how to get to people, and we know how to motivate them because we're motivating them for the right thing, and we're on God's side. So let's ask God to help us and to guide us, help the people of Israel, people of the United States, and God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze.